Hey, it's Chef Evelyn, and I am back with another video. And today I just want to share with you all the details about the upcoming Build Your Cooking Class Business Bootcamp. So you've been hearing me talk about the bootcamp in a couple of videos here and there. I just kind of wanted to do a dedicated video to kind of walk you through what the bootcamp is, who it's for, what you're going to get out of it at the end of it, and all of that. So first of all, the Build Your Cooking Class Bootcamp is a one-day experience, right? And it's divided into 5 parts. And so I have the information page up next to me. So if you see me looking over to the side, it's because I want to make sure I get all the details in this video. You can also click the link in the description box beneath this video, and it'll take you to the page that I'm actually currently looking at, and it'll give you even more details that I'm not sharing with you here. So the Build Your Cooking Class Business Bootcamp, I'm so excited because it's for those of you who are curious about teaching cooking classes, have already decided that yes, you do want to teach cooking classes. For those of you that have maybe already started and dipped your toe into cooking classes, this is the boot camp for you. So like I said before, the boot camp is broken down into 5 different components. And the first one being is in part 1, you are going to set your goals for your cooking class business. So we're going to be going over how to set your professional goals for your cooking class business, like what you want cooking classes to do for your business. But we're also going to be going over your personal goals, right? Because maybe you're looking for a lifestyle change. Maybe you want something that's a little less taxing, a little less demanding, right? Whatever the case may be. We're also going to be establishing some personal goals so that as you go through this process of building your cooking class business in this boot camp, right, these are kind of like your guardrails to make sure that you're going to be choosing the right kind of business model, the right kind of format for you, right? So that's part 1, that's what we're going to spend all of part 1 on, right? Part 2 that we get into is we're going to talk about which formats and which types of cooking classes are going to be the best for you. So we're going to go through the 6 different types of cooking class formats. And when I say formats, I'm talking about the way you want to deliver cooking classes, right? What's going to be the best vehicle for you, your current business model, your current lifestyle, your future goals, right? All of that kind of stuff, because there's so many different ways you can do cooking classes. And, while some ways may be like, oh, that seems appealing or that seems not appealing, depending on what your goals are, you might be surprised at which is the best format for you. And then after you determine your format, we're going to go right into me walking you through the 20 different types of actual classes that you can offer, right? Because all of these classes can be offered in all of these different formats, but then there's so many ways that you can have a cooking class, and I want you to have as much knowledge as possible and be equipped with as much information as possible so you can pick the best classes that ensure that one will be easy for you to sell, one that match up with your skill set, one that is going to be enjoyable for you, right? And then also align with your goals. So that's part 2 is you're going to select, we're going to go through the 6 types of formats. You're going to select that. Part 2 is we're going to go through the 20 different types of cooking classes, and you're going to pick the classes that work best for you. That's part 2. Part 3, we'll get into the details of what it takes to have a successful cooking class business, right? And so underneath that, we're going to talk about, the 3 elements of a successful cooking class business, which I like to call my ABMs, right? And this is no matter what kind of cooking class business you choose, these 3 things need to be in place. So we're going to deep dive what those are in the boot camp. And then we're also going to talk about how do you structure your classes in such a way that you get repeat clients, right? Because a lot of times it's kind of frustrating whether you're a personal chef, a caterer, a cookbook author, whatever. It's there's so much energy and time and expense spent on trying to get the next client, right? Whereas, if you had repeat clients, you can use that energy elsewhere. And the same thing is true in cooking classes, right? That once you kind of know the formula for getting repeat customers and repeat students in your cooking classes, you can implement that, right? And then that way that you always have a constant influx of students in your classes. And the third part of part 3 is we're going to talk about developing your secret sauce that makes you stand out, right? Like your culinary point of view with the cooking class industry on the rise and with it growing. And in another video, I talked about how the cooking class industry is a $98.9 billion industry in 2024 in the US alone, right? And so, it's like you don't want to get lost in a sea of other people doing cooking classes. What is it going to take for you to stand out? We're going to talk about that in part 3 as well. So let's continue on. Now, part 4 is we're going to map out your action plan. We're going to go through, here are the 8 steps that you need to take to get your cooking class business off the ground. And what's great about this is we're going to go through the 8 steps, and you'll see like the areas that you already have in place if you already have an existing business, and then the areas that you need to add if you don't have them. If you don't have a business at all, then these are going to be your 8 steps to get started, right? And I think a lot of times, if you Google certain articles and things like that, they're like, oh, go get your business license, oh, go get a bank account. It's like, yes, then what, right? So we're going to talk about the then what in section 4. So we're going to be going over that 8-step cooking class, what I call mise en place roadmap to build your cooking class business. And we're also going to map out a timeline for you to launch your first or next cooking class, right? So if I haven't mentioned that in other videos, that's why I wanted to do a dedicated video. We're going to map that out for you. Like, okay, listen, by this date, you're going to have up your next cooking class, if you're already doing cooking classes, or your first cooking class, right? So when I say build your cooking class business boot camp, I really, really mean it. Okay. And then finally, in part 5, right, I'm going to be sharing with you some case studies. I've mentioned this in a couple of other videos, but these case studies, I really want to put these here because I want you to see what's possible for you when it comes to cooking classes. I'm going to be sharing 3 different types of cooking classes, and I'm going to share with you 3 different phases of business, right? My very first online cooking course that I did in 2010, I've said this before, there was no Instagram at the time. Instagram wouldn't launch for like several months later, right? So clearly I did not have an Instagram following. I didn't have a social media following. That wasn't even really a big thing back then. And how I made $500 just like on my first, like, I'm just going to put this up and see what happens. Right. And listen, I'd still take the extra $500 today. Okay. If I could. And then the second case study is going to be about when I did an in-person cooking class, and I made in one cooking class what I used to make as a weekly salary. Right. And that was probably the moment where I was like, hold the phone, because I could do this multiple times a week. And you're telling me I can make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a week what I used to make in one night in a week? Like, what? Like, that sold me, right? So we're going to do a case study on that. And then finally, the third case study that I'm going to be sharing with you is how I made $5,000 from a 45-minute cooking demonstration where I made one recipe. Okay. And so as you can see the progression, right, of, the business and I'll be sharing with you kind of like my background and all the different things that I've done in food, so that if you have questions, I am more than happy to be transparent and answer them, right? I've got the data to prove it and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really, really excited. I just wanted to do a dedicated video for those of you who are seriously considering joining the boot camp. I wanted to kind of put all the details right here in this video for you. But like I said, if you want to know when the next boot camp is, or if it's still live, depending on when you watch this video, it may or may not still be live, but I definitely want you to have access to it. It'll always have those components in there. And yeah, y'all, I hope to see you in the boot camp, and let me know if you have any questions down below, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.